Hello, NEMSIS stakeholders. My name is Clay Mann, and I am associated with the NEMSIS Technical Assistance Center. Thank you for visiting the page on the NEMSIS website that outlines a number of revision requests that have been sent to us over the course of 3 years with the release of the NEMSIS standard version 3.4.0. This page has been organized in a way that allows us to review work that has occurred over the past year, to review each of these revision requests, cull out those that probably will not move forward, and then also to find those that have true value, to polish those up a little bit. Those are provided here on this page. And I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes walking you through how you can use this page to really efficiently review those revision requests. If you look at where my cursor is being placed, I'll just point out that there is a 20-minute video that can be found at this location that provides a quick overview of some of the reasons why folks have felt like it may be time to consider another revision to the NEMSIS standard. Feel free to review that. The next section of this page has 3 sections that dealt with large kind of ideas that could potentially be added to the NEMSIS standard that were reviewed and discussed by summer work groups last year. I'll just mention each of these 3 very briefly. The addition of a universally unique identifier is the idea of adding a technical change to the NEMSIS standard that allows an agency or a state to efficiently track a piece of equipment, such as a truck or a provider, over time. You'll notice that there are a number of resources here that allows you to review that topic. The PowerPoint presentations provide the pros and cons of each of the ideas, and then you'll find that there are recommendations you can actually review that came from these summer work groups. The second idea was the idea that maybe there are some elements that are considered national, thus have to be completed on every single patient care report. Are there some elements that could be demoted to a state-recommended element or an optional element, so not collected on every single PCR and left to a state or an agency to determine whether they want to collect that element? And then finally, probably the most controversial idea that has been reviewed this year in regards to a potential revision has been the idea of splitting eDisposition 12. The idea is that that element as it is currently constituted really includes 3 dispositions, a disposition of the patient, of the incident, and the transport. So maybe we need to split those out. So this is a change that may potentially slightly impact the experience of our providers in completing an ePCR. Clearly, this idea, the demotion of natural elements, would reduce the time necessary for our providers to complete a PCR, and the addition of a universal unique identifier would be a technical change, and so no change to the experience of our providers. The second half of this page, I wanted to spend just a quick minute on to familiarize you with it. There's about 130 additional individual revision requests that have been reviewed, and they're presented here in PowerPoints in 3 batches. There is a searchable summary Excel spreadsheet that kind of identifies all 130 revisions, and you're able to work your way through this document to determine which of those revisions you might want to look at. So I just wanted to provide you with a brief introduction to this Excel spreadsheet and some of these columns that could be of value to you. So here is listed all the potential changes. If you just wanted to concentrate on those that over the year have been suggested to move forward and to be considered. You'll notice that in column D, you have an indication of what type of revision is being requested. Column E, we have attempted to identify whether if this change was made, would it improve the provider experience? Would there really be no change to the provider experience? That is, it's a technical fix or a definition change. Or could this change have some impact on the provider experience, usually the addition of an element or values? I'll just mention here these other columns that may be helpful to you. We list the idea in column F is that if it says Agile, these are suggestions that we think could be implemented in the 3.5.0 standard. Which of the 2 data sets is involved with this change? What is the element that is being considered for some change? What's a summary of that change? And then a multi-paragraph history associated with a written discussion associated with each of these changes can be found on this Excel spreadsheet. Two other columns I want to point out just real quickly. You'll find that column A is a PowerPoint ID. Column B is a PowerPoint batch number. So this batch number relates to these 3 batches that are listed here on the web page. And so, for example, if I wanted to look at this potential change, it has an ID of 1 and is found in batch number 1. So I could go here, open up batch number 1, move it down to ID 1, and here is the potential change to e-exam 20, adding a value status seizure. On each of these slides, you'll find some comment as to why this change is being suggested, and then you'll find voting associated with this potential change that's happened over the last year and a half. Here on the left, you'll find voting that happened up at Park City during the annual NEMSIS implementation meeting. And then on your right, you'll find a summary of several surveys that were conducted over at least 2 meetings, one with general stakeholders and vendors and one with the Data Managers Council. And their, after discussion of this potential change, what was their vote as to whether or not this should be a change that moves forward or whether it should be dropped for consideration. So you'll find IDs associated with each of these elements, and that will allow you to move hopefully efficiently between this Excel spreadsheet and then also identify the opportunity to look more deeply at a topic. Finally, I'll just mention briefly here that there has been a revised timeline that has been suggested for a potential new revision for NEMSIS 3.5.0. You can take a look at that suggested timeline and be able to look at this in reference to what you think are important changes moving forward. So I hope this brief presentation has provided you some helpful information to allow you to navigate through this page and review the potential changes to the NEMSIS standard and whether or not you feel like there are important changes to make to the standard as it currently exists. Thank you very much for your time.